Hey guys, there's a show on the Discovery Channel and it's called Edward times 3. It stars 3 boys trying to make a come up in life while constantly having to deal with disrespects from the ops in the neighborhood. Growing up, I often enjoyed watching it because I could empathize with the main heroes and their attempts to stand up to the tyranny of their useless peers. So the main characters are Dumb Edward, Smart Edward, and Scheme Edward. The dumb one is a man with very low intelligence, but he has superpowers, like he can just pick up houses and get hit by them and survive. Honestly, he's in the wrong show. He belongs on Hercules or something. The smart one is a genius voice of a generation who does his best to guide his men in the right direction, but nobody cares what he has to say because they know he's too soft to step up to them. But to be honest, he's kind of tweaking when he tries to act like he has nothing to do with their plots, cause the nigga literally helps them construct them almost every episode. And then finally there's the mainest of the main niggas, the Scheme. The Scheme spends his days trying to finesse his idiotic neighbors out of money with the help of the guys he shares a name with. They need the funds in order to buy mandible destroyers, which are fetus-sized candies they give everyone in the show a hard on. For some reason, the niggas in the neighborhood continually fall for their scams, even though it usually breaks apart while they're actually there to witness it. But it appears that many in this show have dents in their skulls. Some of the neighbors include this dumbass bully who keeps running his mouth at the Edwards as if he's not constantly being hoed by them. Honestly, I'm not even that mad at him though, cause he usually just responds to when the Edwards are trying to finesse, but still, he's a lame for even falling for it. Then there's the foreign kid from an ex-communist country. He keeps moaning about his hometown or something, like give it a break my guy, you're in a new land, get with the times. Then there's the girl in the neighborhood that everyone else has a hard on for, cause she's the only relevant female in miles. And I know I sounded a little harsh so far, but now we're getting to the actually horrible characters. So the dumb Edward has a useless bitch sister who's constantly yelling and trying to throw hands. And her condom is a soft ass pussy boy who tries to act like a little kid, but the nigga is constantly co-signing the sister's nonsense, so it's not like he's a victim or anything. Like every time they appear, they have nothing good to say or do. Fortunately, the writers of the show knows to give them the heat sometimes, you know, cause the show's actually lit. But then we have the absolute scum of the earth. He's the most tryhardy of all the young ones. All he does is say weirdo shit that makes the niggas in the show as pissed off at him as the niggas watching the show. We'll just call him the weirdo. He has a block of wood that he's convinced himself is a real person because he's going through extremely early dementia. Sadly, his peers tolerate his presence and allow him to hang, even though realistically, the only hanging he should be doing is from a rope. I'm really tired of this man, like he's just a lame, never doing anything to benefit anybody else. The last characters we need to talk about are the 3 rapists that live on the other block. They're basically the female version of the Edwards. The red-haired one likes the Scheme, the blonde one likes the dumb one, and the blue-haired one likes the smart one. Various episodes consist of them trying to molest the boys and get the other kids out of the way if need be. Even though they'd probably be the most annoying ones in real life, I don't really care about them because it's not like they show up all the time. Also in the show, niggas get hit with houses and cars and fall through buildings and stuff, but end up okay, like it's a video game or something. Now we're going to be going over a couple episodes, starting with the first one. It begins with a bunch of labels on everything, because the smart one used to be neurotic, but then the writers made that storyline piss off, so the smart one spends some time getting harassed by some noise at the door, and ends up making an ass of himself, until eventually he opens it and finds the Scheme. The Scheme enters his crib and starts tweaking all over the place, showing general disrespect to the smart one, who then realizes that something has been finessed. So then the nigga starts acting up, and the Scheme is forced to give him the beats in order to put him in his place. After that, they decide to visit their nigga in his crib to see what's up, and he's there chilling, and you know, they all end up having a gay old time. But then the dumbass useless sister pops up, whining about some lame shit being stolen. So now the Scheme thinks there's a finesser out on the loose. They try to set up a trap for the finesser by using the dumb one. All it does is get the weirdo to try to touch him, so the other Edwards make him do the dash. Then they get on his ass and throw him in the basement, where they act like Guantanamo Bay. Eventually, the weirdo folds, and the Edwards punish him as such, but it turns out he didn't finesse anything, but the Scheme doesn't care, because he still got the funds either way. So they get their candy, but then the dumb one's sister and her bitch push the weirdo and ruin everything for the heroes, a common way these episodes seem to end. And the next episode that we'll be going over, the weirdo trying to bully inanimate objects, when all of a sudden, the Scheme pops out the cuts and threatens him with the shadow clone jutsu, but it turns out they were just mirrors, because that's how it works I guess. So the Scheme finesses the weirdo out of a quarter, but then he fucks off and goes to the foreigner's crib, where all the other niggas are, and it puts the Scheme in his feelings because he's not the center of attention. So the foreign kid is doing some pagan ritual and offers the niggas trash to eat, so of course the Scheme just throws it away, but this makes the foreigner feel some type of way, and the heathen ceremony comes to an end. And then smart Edward tries to convince the Scheme to repent and seek forgiveness from a nigga beneath him, but Scheme Edward isn't going. They end up meeting him anyway, and the Scheme gives the foreigner a plant. It turns out the plant is an infidel repellent, because the foreigner is not trying to catch a fade with the Scheme for even putting the plant in his presence. So the Scheme tries to duck all that, but then the bully nigga ships into the foreign kid, and he gives him the beats with fish. Then he sexually assaults the Edwards and himself with eels. Also, the eels turn the dumb one into a fish. In some other episode, the Edwards are running a restaurant, Instead of just waiting for their food like normal people, the sister and the pussy keep acting up and demanding food, threatening to leave and such. But by the time their food arrives, it's just the dumb one with his bare ass touching the plates, so everyone else in the restaurant pisses off. Then the scheme gets in his feelings because nobody respects him like they do his brother, so he decides to make everyone think that his brother's coming back, so that they'll have to check in with him if they want to hang on the block. So the bully shows up and tries to talk slick, but instantly folds when he learns a nigga he never met is coming to town, and tries to act all buddy-buddy, as if the scheme can't tell the fake shit. Then the bully tells the others, and they also pussy out because of an unknown man, but the girl gets a hard-on. So the bully decides to throw a welcome party for the scheme's brother, and everyone treats the scheme like a don, while the small one tries to get the scheme to confess his falsehoods. Of course his brother doesn't show up, so he has to make excuses for him and lay low. The next day it turns out his brother actually is showing up, and he makes the scheme into a house slave, but actually it turns out it was the sister and the pussy, so that's lame that they got the last laugh. Around the last season, the school year starts up, and the cartoon niggas are forced to go through all the nonsense that we real life niggas have to go through. One episode in the new era starts out with the pool, where the youths are trying to get off one, but then that big ass dumb nigga jumps in the water and spreads his trash everywhere, so niggas have to vacate the premises. All the guys are in their feelings and start dissing each other. Then they start gambling and try to see who can go the longest without their unnatural obsessions. The dumb one has to give up that stuff that niggas put on mashed potatoes. The scheme has to give up yelling. The smart one has to give up doing the most with his vocabulary. The bully has to give up his favorite word against the Edwards. The foreign kid has to give up the flesh of animals. And the weirdo has to give up his block of wood. After that, the dumb one's sister tweaks with the scheme, and he does everything he can to stay composed. Then the weirdo asks the pussy to be his new overseer, because he's naturally at the bottom of the pyramid. So the Edwards come together, and the dumb one is going through heroin withdrawals due to not having gravy. The scheme tries to make things difficult for the bully, while the small one has trouble limiting his words. The dumb one can't handle the sight of plain mashed potatoes and throws a bull at the bully, which makes him break. And then the scheme messes with a dictionary, which is like scripture to the smart one, so he breaks too. The scheme then pretends he's the piece of wood's new friend, and that puts the bum-ass weirdo in his feelings, and he takes the wood from him. Then the foreign kid shows up and gets pressed into eating animal flesh, so the scheme gets the dumb one to eat gravy, and then shouts that he won, but it turns out it wasn't actually gravy, but instead was some pudding that the dumb one is weakened by. So the scheme did all that snake shit for nothing, because he still came out with the L. The scheme ends up in his feelings, so he decides to chase the dumb one with a non-gravy to poison him. The show had a movie to end the series. The movie starts out with the hood, looking like it's been through a jihad, while the dumb one runs around to pack his shit. Then he abducts a smart one who's in his feelings, and they meet up with the scheme, and it turns out they did their neighbors extremely dirty, so now the other kids want to lynch them. They manage to hijack a worthless car and outrun all the other kids, while that loser sister and the pussy watch. Once they get to safety, they decide to piss off and become refugees at the scheme's brother's house until the niggas get off their periods. The group of kids split up to find them, while those trash sisters find out the guy they have a hard-on for are on the neighborhood watch list, so they also try to track them down. They start out by holding the dumb one's sister and the pussy hostage and force them to slavery, but then they run away or something. The Edwards make it to some abandoned factory where they start acting up and have to piss off from there. Somewhere along the way, the scheme and the dumb one decide to disrespect the smart one and pretend they've been put on his shirts, which puts him in his feelings, but it turns out they're not packs, so the smart one is tired of the tryhards and says he's done with them. And this is after a day of them trying to hoe the smart one in general. The lambs ask for forgiveness and become cool again, so the trash sisters abduct more block niggas, but eventually, the Edwards reach the scheme's brother. At first they think he's lit, but it turns out he's a hibachi, and then he starts giving the beats to the scheme, and even the smart one, so now everyone feels some type of way, even though half of them literally traveled all the way to murk them. The scheme's brother gets put in a stretcher by a door, and the scheme confesses to being a fraud. But now everyone in the hood is on their tip, so it looks like all is well. But that widow shows up, so the rest of the kids catch a fade with him, so he's an op now or something. The story ends with the Edwards finally being accepted. As you can tell, the show is lit. It's one of the top 3 best ones on the Discovery Channel, and deserves praise for ages. Also, just remember that if you're gonna pull a scheme, at least try not to do it with the same niggas for decades on end.
Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I make a new video. And as always, thanks for watching.